of Gen Z agenda, where we get to break down the major concerns that face the youth. And we use this opportunity to bring the voices of different youth across the spectrum in order to engage in these constructive discussions about the plight of the young people in our country. This week, we have a very, very interesting discussion around the surge, the proliferation, the increase in the use of sexual enhancers or sexual enhancement medicines in youth, but particularly in university students. And to discuss that with me today, I have three ladies and gentlemen who are all members of the University Student Guild Health Forums in their different universities. And I'll start by introducing Mr. Wamezaya Ebenezer, the Guild Health Minister at Makerere University. Together with him, we shall have from the far end, Mr. Nware Bariki, the Guild Health Minister from Chambogo University. And then the lady in between is Ms. Zakia Mondera, who is also a member of the Guild Health Committee in Chambogo University. So with these ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss why we have an unheard of increase in the use of these sexual enhancement aphrodisiacs, how deep the problem is, what the cause of the problem is. We want to know with my colleagues here whether it is a psychological problem, whether it is a psychotropical problem, is it about an addiction, whether it is a factual biological problem of people who actually find energy in using these enhancements and therefore stick to them because of that, or actually whether it is a bandwagon kind of thing. So I am going to let our discussants today kick the panel off. I could start with you, Mondera. I want us to know, how deep is the problem? Is it something that we see in the news? Is Viagra and like substances actually substances that are heavily in practice, in use today in the youth and particularly in university students? Just shed a picture of how deep this problem actually is.
Yes, thank you so much, Juniors. There are a lot of challenges in university, of which one is using sexual enhancement. And I personally believe it's actually a very huge challenge in campus right now, because as you go actually and interact deep with university students, you find that over 90% of guys are actually on these enhancements, though they might not come out in public to say so. But I was interacting with some of my guy friends, and they tell you that 5 out of 10 of their own friends are actually using them, meaning that's a very huge challenge if almost half are using. So I believe it's actually a very huge challenge. And given the medical challenges coming from the use of these drugs after a prolonged period of time, I believe it's a huge challenge, and it will actually affect the future of these youth.
A quick one before I come to Ricky.
Yes.
Do we have female sexual enhancement substances?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in your opener, you seem to have said it's a guy thing.
Yes,
so I want to have clarity on that.
When we come to ground, we find that the female use, it's actually very low compared to the men, because for the men drugs are actually very common on market and easy to access, and there is a lot of peer pressure in it compared to the girl child part of it, that women will not have that conversation of, you know, bragging about their sex life in fellow group chats. But when you go to ground on guys' side, on the men's side, it's actually like something that I find pride in. When I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, I have to prove the point, you know.
Correct.
So it's so much into the guy side compared to the women's side. So I wouldn't say that it's so much, you know, fluent in.
Thank you. Ebenezer, from a pharmacological point of view, does this actually work? What are sexual enhancement substances, and what do they do, and how do they work? to begin with.
Okay, thank you so much. A good afternoon, everyone that is listening. So, sexual enhancers specifically are a class group of drugs that boost blood flow through the penile system, to be specific.
Okay.
But they go beyond that. Some of them boost mental activity, and that is where now the ladies, most of them, the lady enhancers come in.
Okay.
But for the mechanism of action is that basically they tend to increase blood flow through the penile system to maintain erections. So ideally, they are supposed to be used in men with ED. They are a prescription-only drug.
ED means erectile dysfunction.
Dysfunction, yes, erectile dysfunction. So ideally, they are supposed to be used for men as prescription-only drugs for that cause, for that illness. It is a medical condition. But then, the challenge that we've had is that a number of youth who are normal have chosen to boost their activity. They want to maintain an erection for an hour or so. They don't realize that the medicine you're trying to use is supposed to be used by someone who cannot have an erection.
Thank you for that. And if I can come in before you finish that point. I have been reading that Viagra, for example, as was first introduced on the global health market by Pfizer, was supposed to be used as a mere supplement only for like aged people or people with erectile dysfunction. So it is supposed to be a cure of something that is not working well. So it is not supposed to be a stimulant. It is not supposed to be a medicine for someone who is already okay but that wants to function better. Is that the difference you're trying to draw? Can you draw that very well for our viewers?
That is the exact difference.
Yes.
That sildenafil,
sildenafil
now comes in very many different forms. The avanafil, tadalafil, and all those different brands.
Those citrates are the generic names of Viagra. Yes.
So it is supposed to be used for by someone who's sick. Someone who's sick means that that person cannot have an erection. And if they do, it cannot stand for reproduction to occur.
But it is not supposed to be used by a certain one inch who wants to boost their...
Exactly. And every drug has an effect.
Yes.
For every drug used on a healthy person, there is an effect today or tomorrow. And as an advocate of preventive medicine, this is the platform to talk about all these.
Thank you so much. Now, having the background of how deep this problem is and what actually these enhancers are and are supposed to work, that is where I bring you in, Ricky. Why have we had this surge, this increase, this spiraling of the cases of youth using these enhancers, particularly university students? As Dr. Wamezaya has told us properly, these are supposed to be used by people who have erectile dysfunctions or who are old, who are looking for life support, but not people who can support themselves, but who want more performance. So why is it being used the other way around? Why do we see the use of these enhancers increasing day by day in the youth and particularly in university students?
Thank you, the moderator. From the point of view and how my colleagues, the panelists, have aired out their points, I think these enhancers, they are particularly Viagra. It has been made for the people who have erectile dysfunction, but still the Gen Zs want to prove a point. I want to kukakasa, or I want to...
So the first reason and major reason is kukakasa,
yes,
proving the point.
Yes, proving the point. I have been lasting for 2 hours in bed, so I want to take this enhancer, this Viagra, to make sure that I satisfy my babe to prove like I'm a man.
Yes.
I can prove. Another thing, to bring a point, take an example, because the enhancer, sometimes they are for mental stability. You have been performing not well in class from the point of other enhancers. So you want to bring like energy drinks so that you can be confident. You are fearing the paper, but when you have taken like an energy drink, it can boost you. You can
So this Viagra, this sildenafil, or the other forms of enhancers
yes.
are energy drinks
Yes.
for these Genesis who want to prove a point.
Yeah, they want to prove a
Is
point.
is it only about proving a point? Why I'm asking this is in regard to when they first know about it, because I am aware that some people just hear others talking about Viagra and how it works, and the other one said, "Hey, for me the other day I lasted 4 hours." Then this one also wants to.
prove.
So on the one hand, I could look at that as a bandwagon effect, but also on the other hand, I would want to know, is it an addictive substance? Because that could also be what contributes to this increase in the use. What is your take on that?
Well, it may be an addictive use because when you have been lasting 2 hours in bed, from the point of view of the Viagra, then you have used it, it's pushed you to about 10 hours or 4 hours. That means that you are going to be addictive. You have to use it always.
So that
prove a
you
point.
always prove a point, you always
Yes.
prove a point.
Yes.
So it does not have necessarily a psychotropic effect of addiction like other, say, narcotic substances. Rather, it is from the pressure you get when you use it that is elongated that you keep wanting to use it.
Yes.
Mondera,
Yes.
these enhancers are supposed to be prescription
Yes.
drugs, which means that you're supposed to get them only upon prescription of a qualified medical practitioner.
Yes.
Why are we seeing an increased access to these enhancers over the counter?
First of all, we all know that when you have something that's selling, you actually bring it back in your business.
Okay.
So this drug has been so much on market that every drug shop wants to actually bring, for their own profit.
Okay.
And they bring it in excessive amounts, in that even a small child can actually go and access. For them, the pharmacists want, they want the money. And when you're providing the money, obviously they're in business. So the more they bring this, it does not matter who is coming to actually bring, to buy the drug. As long as you bring the money, there is this common, they call it a K50. It's in the dosage, depending on the dosage. There is the dosage of 50, then there's also a dosage of 100. So when for the 51,
Is that mils?
grams,
Milligrams per
yes,
liter.
yes,
Milligrams.
milligrams per liter. So for the 50, it's 1,500. So the other one is how much? Is 2K. So when you come in and even the pharmacists themselves tell you that on a day they can get like 15 customers of the drug. So if I'm getting 2K per customer, then I will actually bring it back and I will make it more accessible. And when you go to the students themselves, at first there is that stereotype that how am I actually going to approach and actually buy this drug, because there is that shame you feel like when you're buying, because the drug is actually supposed to be for ED, so meaning you're actually sick.
Yes.
Why, if you're buying the drug, you're sick. So there is that shyness. But when your friend tells you, no, it's actually easy, you just go and tell them, K50, I want the K50. They will not ask you any questions. They will not even ask you for anything, whether they need the identification, they need the prescription by the doctor. They don't ask, there is no actually like a standard guideline whereby these drug shops follow to actually access the drug. So it's actually very easy to access. That's why I think it's easily accessible.
So you're pointing that over-the-counter access,
yes,
to the lack of ethics by pharmacists
indeed,
and pharmacy runners who make these things available over the counter because they make profit for them,
Yes.
even when they know that these are supposed to be
Indeed.
prescription.
And not just that, when you come to the side of herbalists, because most people be like, in herbal medicine there is no any side effect, I'm just going to buy my herb and take it. But when they made some research in a recent news article by New Vision, whereby they were giving us some pointers,
Yes.
and they went ahead to some doctor, and he was like, when you research and actually examine the herbal drugs, you find that there are chemicals used to actually do
Make
the
herbal
drug.
drugs.
Yeah, so it's the same thing, just in a different packaging. So I believe that's
All right. So you highlight that medical professional negligence
Yes.
of those people who make them available over the counter. What about Ebenezer from the side of the person seeking the drugs? If we know that this person is only supposed to access this drug if they have a prescription from a medical professional or a medical practitioner, but then we see them running to get them over the counter, as she attempted to tackle it, do we bring it more to the stigma that this person thinks they would have if they went to a doctor to prescribe for them? Or do we bring it back to the other thing that people actually don't have a problem, they are just using it to enhance, but they don't have an ED? What do we put it to? Is it because people who have an ED fear to go and tell a doctor because of the stigma, because no man wants the public to know that they have an erectile dysfunction? But also on the other hand, is it because not that the people who use it have ED, but rather they want to use it to kakasa, as he said?
Okay, thank you so much. So basically, it is the latter.
It is the latter.
The reality is that most of the people who have ED will, in most cases, go to doctors.
Okay.
That is the truth. In most cases, when you are actually
Those
sick,
ones who are actually sick.
those who are actually sick, most of them use those substances. Most of them use Viagra and Kamagra and others prescription. They use their prescription, medical prescriptions. Then the rest of the society, the rest of us,
Who are the majority?
Exactly, who are the majority?
Yes.
It is the reality is that most of them use drugs for very many other reasons, not ED.
Not ED.
And just to bring out more of those reasons, one is that he was calling it 2 hours, but it's not even that 2 hours, it is 2 minutes. That 2-minute statement, a 2-minute man,
Yes.
2 minutes. You get
1 minute.
that is the reality on ground. The reality is that because of, there are certain conversations that are not had in public.
Yes.
And like I said, I'm also one of the people who advocate for sexual and reproductive health. I believe that these are conversations that we should have at very many and different stages of life. We cannot go back home to talk to our parents about these conversations. It's very odd to talk about sexuality with parents.
Correct.
So you cannot have that conversation. It is very awkward to have it with teachers, lecturers, and all that. And the issue of counselors would be the best, but it is not popular on ground. That's the reality.
Yes.
So the truth is that most of these conversations happen between peers. And in peers, you find that the person teaching you knows less than you. That is the reality.
True, very true.
Correct.
This conversation is
Yes.
between peers.
Yes.
So when someone says that I take 15 minutes, or no, a normal person takes 15 minutes, you remember that it has never gone above 5. It's not hours, it is always minutes. So these conversations, you find that they happen in the wrong circles,
Okay.
and the wrong information is spread.
Yes.
And because of that, you find that now solutions are proposed in that
Those
conversation.
pedestrian conversations.
So it is not merely peer pressure that you're doing it for others. In most cases, you even listen to the conversation and you go back and become your own doctor. That is what we call self-medication.
Yes.
Many people have become their own doctors. You hear what others are doing and peer influence, you'll call it in some cases, but it is more about you becoming your own doctor.
Yes.
And you take matters in your own hands and you approach a pharmacy. And the truth is that there is an age where certain things are odd, but there is an age where certain things become
Now it's normal for a person to
There
go over
is-
the counter and
exactly. There is no problem.
the same way people used to fear to ask for contraceptives. It was an issue for a person to go over the counter in a pharmacy and ask for maybe a condom or any other form of contraceptive.
Yes.
There's that thing that came with it, but now it became normal.
Now
Is it the same as
Exactly.
Viagra?
Exactly. Nowadays, it is normal for
Okay.
someone to request for Viagra. But I
Yes.
have an experience.
Okay.
The first time I got to know Viagra, I remember it was, I will not talk about, we were in a certain function. It was a normal official function, and one of the sponsoring companies is a pharmaceutical company, I will not
Yes.
say. So they gave them a mic to talk about what they do, and so in that company's speech, the director talked about what they do and everything. It was a normal conversation, but they gave us gifts at the end. So they gave us different drugs of their brands that they market as a form of marketing. So among the drugs that I got that were distributed, one was Viagra. I was just in year one. I didn't know what it does and everything.
I don't want
So
to ask you whether you use it. Ricky,
Yes.
what are some of the most famous misconceptions we have around these enhancers? Because over time we have had people say very many things about these Viagra and other forms of enhancers, which sometimes come out to be actually very, very incorrect. For example, you hear a person saying, if you take Viagra, you can't get HIV. If you take Viagra, maybe you can have sex for a week. What are the actual, can we first distill the truth from the mistruth by way of telling us some of the major misconceptions around Viagra and its use?
Thank you, the moderator. What I think, and it is always a healthy student.
Yes.
I bring it to the perspective of the campus students. A healthy student is a productive student.
Yes.
To me, I think when you're healthy, since Dr. Ebenezer talked about these Viagra are supposed to be used by the people who have erectile dysfunction. So to me, if you're healthy and you can be in bed for 4 parts of your time, there is no need to prove a girl that you can.
So the first misconception we dispel is the fact that you don't need to use Viagra if you don't have a diagnosed erectile dysfunction.
Yes.
So let our university students there know that they can do well without this, except if they have a known problem. Correct? Good?
Yes. And another thing, when you know your body is okay, no need to use other these enhancers. No need to put the energizers that you want to read for so long and you want to pass. Such a kind of stuff.
Is there some truth in the assertion that when you are used to using these enhancers, you can no longer have lasting intercourse without using them? Because that is some of the things that have driven people to keep using them. I think that if you use it twice, you will never do well again if you don't use it. Is that correct?
I think it is a misconception.
Okay.
You can leave it and you come back to normal. You offer you five minutes of your party time. Cause
just like you only need to take Panadol when you have headache. When you
Yes.
don't have a headache, you don't need Panadol.
yes.
Zakia, do you have from your circles personal experiences of people who have faced bad consequences out of using these enhancers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I beg I will not disclose
No,
the
no,
name.
not the name, but
Yeah.
what? But would be
I
interested
have
in
a
knowing
colleague
that.
who actually opened up when I was trying to have this conversation, and he was like, he got issues with the way he actually performs in bed after taking this for a while, because he was exposed to the drug at around 16. That was around Form 4. Because of peer pressure, like the friends were like, this drug will actually make you a man. You'll be a man. You'll feel like a man in bed, and the guy got addicted. It was more of an addiction problem. But as time went on, he started to feel less confident when he does not actually use the drug.
Yes.
And he noticed that his performance actually started deteriorating. But he was blessed because he grew up in a nice environment, so he had that exposure to counselors. So they started telling him that it was not actually the drug that was actually the issue. It was his mental positioning that if I don't do this, I will actually not perform well in bed. So it was not that the drug was actually helping him to boost him. The drug was there to soothe that mental perception that whenever I take the drug, it will actually work out. So he became less performative in bed and started to rely more on the drug. But when he visited the counselors and actually they started he started the sessions, they started to walk him through the whole process, he actually recovered and he does not use the drugs. So I believe you can actually get better because first of all, one, it was just peer pressure. You were not actually diagnosed with that specific, because when you look back to the background of the disease, in most cases it's people with diabetes who are actually affected. Maybe you have heart issues, you're affected, and it actually affects your performance in bed. But you don't actually have diabetes. You don't have any like nervous system issues. So you're actually a normal person. Just you're used to the drug. So I believe when people get the right medication, you can actually leave the drug and you continue on with your life. So that was one of the stories.
Dr. Wamezaya, quickly before we run into the short break, what are the biggest supply points? Where do people access these drugs from, especially university students? Is it in the pharmacies around the university? Do we have specific dealers, like, you know, for people who use the other substances, who have their plugs, who bring them this? Or is it something that is easily accessible? Is it, do we have people in campus who kutembea, those things? What are the access points?
You know,
Quickly.
about a year ago, I would say it is pharmacies. But today, I know students who deal in this business.
Oh.
And it's quite a lucrative one, because in most cases, these people normalize it and you won't be judged.
Yes.
So I have a number of access points in the university that I know. And you find that there is no suing that person. There's no crime they are breaking. So the truth is that the reality is the access is so easy within university. There are students who do distribution. They even deliver to your room if you're uncomfortable going there.
Wow.
So it is not just pharmacies.
Okay, that's very, very interesting knowledge to have. Let us run for a quick short break. This is the Gen Z agenda again, where we bring to you the greatest concerns that affect our youth, and we bring youth voices from different spectra to discuss these matters. Let's run quickly for a break, and we'll return with the solution bit of this discussion. Welcome back from the short break, and this is the Gen Z agenda, where we have a weekly forum to bring to you the most pressing youth concerns, and we put together voices across the spectrum to come and add their weight to the discussions. So we continue with our discussion on sexual enhancement substances, and we have so far discovered how big the problem is, why that problem subsists, and where the problem comes from. We want to know quickly, before we run to the solutions,
Yes.
are these the only enhancers that youth, or particularly university students, are exposed to? Because we have had in the last spell of years some surge, some increase also in rumors or reports about using some mental enhancement substances like caffeine, sometimes cannabis, sometimes all those other forms of psychoactive, psychotropic, or even narcotic substances. What is the scale of the problem when it comes to those other enhancers? I'll start with you, Ricky.
Thank you, the moderator. About all those enhancers like the caffeine, the cannabis, all those toxic substances.
Correct.
Some students, as I earlier told you about a hint of it, they use it to prove, like to be in books for so long. When they, like, take an example, we are on a show, you fear to present yourself to the show, you have to first put on like a caffeine to boost your, like, to be firm. Yes.
Is it particularly only with relation to academics, or even other social engagements? Because I'm aware that those people who use those enhancers might not necessarily only use them for books, but maybe if there is a college night at Lumumba Hall, and you want to come and go around and people see you, and so is it only academic, or any other social pressures can also lead these students into wanting to use these substances?
Well, some people who do like gymmings, they want to be in a gym, they run for so long to boost their body, physical fitness.
Yes.
They also put those energizer drinks to be in the gym, to make the bodybuilding, you know, such a kind of...
Mondera, do we see very many students accessing these substances away from the sexual enhancement substances? These other, the caffeines, the cannabises we're talking about, are they prevalent? Are they as much a problem as well?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course, when you're in a world whereby everyone is trying to be the best, obviously they will have to look by all means for everything that is actually putting them on that platform. So there are a lot of enhancers around, and they're actually very accessible. It's so saddening how much accessible these drugs are compared to the way they bring to our bodies. For example, when you come from an educational background of it, people want to actually read, but you can't actually read for a full night. A year robot, you can't. So someone is going to use caffeine too. I have to do this, and in the next day they have a paper, so they will actually add more harm to the already damage. They will add more in order to actually sustain themselves, and they will become addicted. If I don't use this drug, I can't do well in class. And there are a lot of stereotypes related to the drugs themselves. Like for example, when you use there are these energizers. Specifically, we'll go back to Ricky's example for the gym. I have a lot of friends who actually go to the gym. So they'll be like, there is this specific drug. I'm so sorry, I'm forgetting the name.
Okay.
But when you use it, you can actually go and do a lot of buzz. They call them buzz. And you feel energetic. And you have to feel energetic today, and the next day you have a lot of sessions in between. So obviously you're going to become more dependent on the drug, and you actually keep on, and eventually you're actually addicted to the drug.
So, Ebenezer, is there a nexus? Is there a link between these other psychotropic enhancers and sexual enhancers? That's a delicate balance I am trying to ask you to create. But do you feel like some people who have come out to be victims of using sexual enhancement substances have also been a victim of the other brain enhancers?
Yes, thank you so much. So one, and let me first make people understand the enhancing concept.
Correct.
Yes, you don't only enhance sexually. Enhancers are of very many categories. We have physical enhancers, those for bodybuilding, the steroids and all that. We have these social enhancers that you use to fit in society.
Like alcohol. Like,
thank you. Alcohol. You know, alcohol is that interesting that it has become normal.
Yes.
It is part, you know, when you enter a bar and everyone is taking alcohol and you're not taking alcohol, you can't fit in.
Yes.
So to boost your social confidence and fit in the whole concept, you find yourself using most of these boosters.
Correct.
Nowadays, it's rare to find people publicly using cigarettes and smoking, but there are even different other kinds of cigarettes that are now on. Someone told me about the e-cigarettes the other day. You'll hear of pens, cakes having
Vapes.
those exactly.
Like
So
this.
there are different kinds of enhancers. So those are social enhancers
Yes.
you use to fit in. Now here comes the sexual enhancers, those that you use to perform in bed. And even there are very many other different categories beside the physical, the social, the mental enhancers, those that you use to boost your mental activity. Now that is where the caffeine would come in. But I want us to understand that enhancing sometimes is not 100% bad. You just have to know what you're doing in most cases. And the problem comes with addiction. That is, in most cases, the bedrock for the bedrock for the problem, in short, addiction, dependence. If you can, because caffeine, we are in a society where people use caffeine. The problem comes on when you start depending on it. You find that you can't do anything else without it. If you find yourself you can't do anything without alcohol, now that means you're sick. You get
that
that
means
is
you're
where the
getting
problem
addicted.
is. So ideally, the link comes in that when you get to normalize the enhancing concept,
Yes.
that you cannot succeed without an
Enhancing.
booster, you find it becoming a chemical, you find it becoming anything else to do to enhance performance. You find that you don't believe that you can succeed.
Yes.
It becomes a mental problem. You find that the mind ideally is
So
tuned.
you pollute your mind
Exactly.
towards believing that you must use enhancement
Yes.
in almost everything.
And
for you to
at the end of the day, it becomes a peer conversation.
Yes.
It becomes one person in the group will say, me, see how I look? Of course, I use this. You
Yes.
get, and even if that is not the problem, you won't use it because it's not your problem. You realize that for the problem you have, there is an enhancing solution
Yes.
available.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it becomes a culture. It becomes a culture that for whatever problem you have, there is a pill that is a remedy. So it has become more of a cultural problem. That is the link
Yes.
that we are normalizing enhancement.
Ricky, what can we do? First of all, broadly, as maybe student leadership in universities, what can we do to put an end, or at least to attempt to put an end to the increase in this use? Because as we have agreed, it might have its advantages, but it might not necessarily be more advantageous than disadvantageous. So what deliberate initiatives as a health minister of the guild in Chambogo University, what mechanisms, what initiatives, what solutions would you suggest to come up with in order to put this problem back in line?
Thank you, the moderator. To me, as a student leader at Chambogo University, as I earlier told you, we believe in a healthy student is a productive student.
Yes.
So we ideally think if we put in these counselor women and men at the universities who are friendly to the students, to see how best they can interact with them. In case of anything, they can as well guide. And another thing, since they talked about being third in all the streets, we can as well as a reader, we see how best we can curb that spread, because selling the Viagra when you don't have when it is not prescription, that means that it is going to affect also the students who are not affected, because we talked about it is not bad to use Viagra, but there must be the papers that shows you must use it.
Yes.
You see? So that means that all the drugs, the drug shops should have guidelines to see when you're going to give out, take an example, the Viagra, the person who is going to buy should first present the documents that allows him or her to use that drug.
So you are basically advocating for us tackling it twofold, from two sides. Yes. On the one hand, can we bring in counseling so that the students themselves get a wind of how bad using these things is from the side of the counselors? But also on the other hand, can we tackle the supply chain? Can we look at the people that make these things available for our students? And we make sure that we enforce that no one accesses them when they do not have the prescription that is prerequisite for you to access them.
Well,
what about, yes, please?
A quick one. You talked about how I gotten first to know about the Viagra. The very people who make it, if they can come on board and explain to us, the students, they explain how we came in and we see how bad it is. They can also bring them on board. We have like symposium. They explain to the students how best they can use such a kind of drugs. Because when you don't have an erectile function, you cannot use
the danger in that would be putting the very people who are making these drugs in charge of sensitizing people on how to use them. The Americans got a problem with that when American tobacco was such a big thing. You know, tobacco was once a beverage almost. And then because of the dire side effects, they started to say, how can this be curtailed? So they started to task the tobacco makers to be the ones to make advertisements, to make those symposiums, to make community initiatives, to advise people on how to use tobacco to make sure it is not out of hand. And the result was, of course, very, very adverse. Because if you tell the people that want, for example, the people that were marketing it to him, want him to use it. So they cannot be the same people
that come to tell me not to.
What my point of view, what I'm saying.
Yes.
They gave him that Viagra. But I was of the view, if they can come on board, they explain how bad it is. On the other side, there are where they cigarettes. On the cigarette brand, it shows that you smoke, but there is always the lung.
Yes, and that's what I am saying. On the one hand, they will put a photo of the destroyed lungs, yes, but also they have an advert in which a big star, maybe Justin Bieber, is smoking on a cigarette. And a youth will be conflicted. Do you want to have good lungs, or do you want to be a star like Justin Bieber?
Can I shed more light on
Yes,
my
please.
Honorable Minister's point? About the symposiums, we've been having different conferences at campus, of which they are actually very helpful in breaking these stereotypes about these drugs.
Yes.
I believe what he's trying to portray is having such conferences. I would advise bringing in like people who actually have been affected by the drug,
yes,
to break
correct.
the stereotypes and tell them, because when you come and tell me, this drug is going to bring you this effect, but they will be like, what about, did it do it to you? Someone is like, I need a live example. If there is no live example, I won't believe you, because you just telling us you just don't want you just don't want us to actually use the drug. So I believe bringing in such people to actually engage with the youth, and not just bringing I have attended a lot of conferences. So there are some types of conferences you just go and you attend, then you leave. So I believe in interactive sessions with the students, having a one-on-one with actually the students, that type of dialogue where someone can actually approach you and they have a personal conversation. Because as I was trying to engage my male friends about the topic, some people were just laughing at me. They're like, why are you even bringing that to me? Because it's more of, it's been being portrayed as a sacred topic. Correct. They don't actually bring it out. It's just that dark, guys topic just once in a while. So I believe bringing it to life and normalizing talking about such issues, because there are a lot of people experiencing such effects of the drug, side effects. Like someone was telling me, the one going back to the reasons why they use, I can't let my woman call me a 3-minute man. But when you go back, because it's almost ignorance, you have to know that the erection has to actually last for minutes, not hours, not 30 minutes. It's very unrealistic. So bringing doctors to actually tell what's the actuals, like the facts, instead of the stereotypes going around, the rumors, because people are not actually going upfront about the issue. They're just going around corners. You hear this, you hear that. And especially right now, like for us, we're going in to bring in freshers. People come from high school with a blank mind. Whatever you tell them, it's
blank and willing mind.
Yeah, willing to learn anything. I'm a fresh, I have to do this. This is what campus guys actually doing.
Yes.
So I believe if we do actually an interactive session with such members who have not actually been exposed, it can actually decrease on the use.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ebenezer, are there alternatives to these sexual enhancement substances? Why I'm asking this is because for us to think about viable solutions, we need to know the anthropology of the people we deal with. Our people are such a nature that they need alternatives. When we were rolling out the fight against HIV/AIDS, we had to think about what we call the ABC. You know why it is like that? Because if you tell people that abstain, it is proper to tell them that should you fail to abstain, be faithful with one partner. Should that fail, use a condom. Now that causes the ABC trilogy, which creates options and alternatives in creating a solution. And that solution can be said to be feasible. So with regard to our fight against the surge in the use of sexual enhancement substances, do we have alternatives that we can tell our Gen Zs, our campuses there? And now you see, you guys, if this fails, at least try this. If this fails, at least try this, but let's stop this. What are the alternatives that we have?
Okay, ideally, when you say an alternative works when you've identified the clear problem.
Yes.
So from this whole conversation, we realize that enhancers are not the direct problem. The problem is the perception. It is the way society has understood these things. The problem is people don't know what it's supposed to be used for.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not a problem.
Yes.
If you know that this is medicine for a sick person, then you don't take it. So the point is you knowing that this is. So right now the solutions we need are solutions to make everyone aware. Awareness solutions.
Correct.
So all possible ways of making people aware are the best solutions. He proposed one on symposiums, but I want us to look at the different awareness solutions. Some I am currently implementing, some I have plans for. But then that is the solution, because people are not sick.
Yes.
The truth is that those freshers coming are not what?
Are not sick.
But they want to fit in.
Yes.
So the solution is not giving them another option in form of the medicine, but making them understand other ways to fit in, or better ways, or different ways to fit in. So the solution rotates about information. So now let me talk about the different ways we can have information spread. One is that in another capacity, I serve as the chairperson of Inter-University Health Ministers Consortium, more of a coalition of all health ministers in the country. And we've been brainstorming on how to implement different health strategies in our institutions. We learn from each other. So at Makerere, we have a structure called, we have an established peer system. Now, peer system, in different areas, there is a different way people look at the peer system. Right now, it's very hard for you to come and unite us and you call us a peer group. It's very awkward.
Yes.
Peers are bonded by different things.
Yes.
Some people are bonded by supporting, say for example, by subscribing to a certain tribe. We have those structures, Banyankole Association, Baganda Nkoba Zambogo, Basoga, those structures are there. Now that is a peer system. That is one peer group, but united by culture. We have these peer systems united by religion, by faith. The Anglican Church has what we call cells.
Yes.
Very many students subscribe to cells. You get? So different, the Catholic faith has care groups. Those are peer systems that are already established. But they always, in most cases, have a certain aim. You get? In most cases, if it's a religious peer group, then that is the direction it's taking.
Correct.
We have what we call families. Now me, I don't belong to many of these, I belong to a certain family. So as a family, in most cases, the way a family is the way this family is. It's also a care group, it's a peer group. But we subscribe to one ideology, family. So we call ourselves family. We support each other politically, we support each other socially, economically, and all these aspects.
So we use these as avenues
to
drive awareness.
So this is what we do. When we go back, we train these different peer groups, these so-called care group, cells, associations that bond people beyond academics to have these conversations, and we tell them the right information.
Yes.
Because when the person knows the right information, it is easier to fit in. Because in a cell, you can't talk about sexuality.
Yes.
You go back and suffer alone.
Yes.
You go back to another group that will talk about it and tell you that you cannot be a 2-minute man. But if you can have that conversation that, guys, this is wrong, this is right. Now, God aside, this is wrong morally, this is wrong in health, this is wrong in all these aspects. Then it becomes normal for you to mitigate the problem, for you to solve the problem. So the problem comes with awareness. The solution comes with awareness. That is the whole point.
We concentrate on changing the mindset of our youth from this thing of I can't be a 3-minute man, to know that if I am not sick, if I don't have an ED, I don't need to use these sexual enhancers.
Exactly. So it's more of
Ricky, as a health and environmental protection minister at Chambogo University, and this will also extend to you as the member of that subcommittee of the guild, what are the things that after you leave here, you can start to do before we call the symposiums, before we call the administration to crack down on these supply chains? What are the small things that we can start with, as he's talking about the care groups, the cells, those simple small things? From your view as Chambogo University student leaders, what are these small things that we can start from when we live here that can create some change when it comes to this problem?
Well, thank you, the moderator. I think from here straight away as a student leader, awareness is the key of each and everything in the institution. Because ideally, I believe in a healthy student is a healthy product.
Yes.
So from here, I think if we create awareness in our students, as she said earlier, she used to listen to the users of those medicine, the Viagra stuff. We can as well tell them, we see how best they can live, and they come
because
back to
why
normal
I'm
cause.
asking for the small things we can do is I know that as guild leaders, we have a lot of competing projects from other departments. You will be chasing for a symposium on health and erectile dysfunction when the estates minister is chasing for a certain when the sports minister has a sports gala. But if we talk about small things like this, if we say, let's say, do placards, these small pandes, let's say no to Viagra. Say no. Those are the small things I am
that was my
to.
point. What I was going to say.
A minute. Thank you. I've been doing that. Ebenezer can satisfy. We have the designed flyers because we are in a healthy consortium, and is the chairman of the healthy consortium.
Yes.
So when we try to curb such a kind of things to spread, because of in sickle cell awareness, we have been telling that these students to always take tests before you engage with your partner. However much you love your partner, but if you don't test, you know that you are a carrier, I'm a carrier. That means that if it goes beyond and we marry each other, that means that in future we are going to suffer because we are going to produce a sickler who will make our things to lose, like family properties, because you're going to be caring for that student. That means that we are going to make such a kind of awareness by pinning up posters, flyers in different groups about this. Thank you so much.
Can I say something
please.
to add on that? As right now we're heading into orientation week for our freshers at campus, I believe the best way to actually introduce this whole topic is through flyers, because they are literally coming to campus not knowing anything. So, and they are ready to actually acknowledge and absorb anything you tell them. I believe the health minister will have an opportunity to talk to them during the sessions, and then we can also, like, as the committee, hand out the flyers. We can print out, because it's a limited budget, but it's not that expensive. We can actually manage to sustain that as the committee, and we give them flyers about the awareness of the disadvantages of actually using such drugs and engaging with such drugs, such enhancers. And I believe when someone has that background, at least when the symposium comes in later on, it's easy to actually push for it, even for the campus to acknowledge that and give you the budget for it when you've actually done some work. And also maybe like putting up, like he said, posters to create awareness, basically, not for just the freshers, but also the continuing students.
Thank you so much. What is the role of the university administration, particularly, and also national leadership generally, when it comes to this problem?
Ideally, I don't want to blame people who have no problem that they are doing. Because I believe that, you see, like I started by saying, the problem comes with a peer misguiding a colleague. The solution can best be a peer correcting that. You get? So the administration, the best it can do is support peer systems. Because the misinformation is in peer systems.
What about deliberately trying to crack down on the supply chain?
To be honest, there are some battles that will take 10 years, 50 years. We've been watching. You saw that you are talking about it, Big Pharma and all this. To be honest, there are some which we shall call fictional solutions. There are those we shall call media solutions. But on ground, things be different.
Correct.
So to be honest, the solution comes with peer
It's a peer-based solution.
It is a peer. That's why for me, you are asking him what happens from here. I am a person who goes back to come back to these small structures. I have them. I have that good at mobilization. We've been doing this mobilization. To win a guild race, you do mobilization. So we understand the university. Every person understands the university. I know the things that work in Makerere. And the truth is that if in my family, you have a problem, people come and talk to us about these challenges. And it's normal for him to tell me, because I'm not a judge, because we get to, and we create a space around us. So the best solution is not the administration. The best it can do is support the established peer structures in these different institutions. So I am, like he said, the chairperson of all universities. When we meet, we discuss this. We have one of our trainings soon. And in these trainings, these are the conversations. We tell people that the best the administration can do, there's no way you're going to tell a pharmacy not to sell these things. That's a fictional solution. The solution is tell the buyer what he's buying. If that buyer is aware of what he's buying, then the problem is solved. Because we are 18 and above.
Yes.
Most of us have a right to make choices. We own the choices we make. The best thing you do is make an informed choice. So you have the will, let it just be informed. So the solution comes with information. And the administration will give information, but the truth is that the problem comes with peer mistake. If I tell you that, in most cases, you'll believe what I say, not what the lecturer says. Of course, we've been told by parents these things are wrong. But how come we believe them when our friends say them? Because they're doing them. It is a practical solution, a practical problem. When your friend does something, your parent tells you not to do, in most cases, you're seeing it being done. You get? So the solution is your friend is a better friend telling you what's right.
Correct.
So the government will try to mitigate it, will try to regulate. It's a prescription-only medication.
Correct.
I mean, that is what
that
the government has done. That is NDA speaking. You get?
Yes.
But on ground, so the solution comes with understanding the problem.
I forgot to jog us around whether there are some herbal, I always hear people talk about this mirondo, which they put in the juice, and what is the degree of prevalence of those herbal things? Are they as much used as the Viagra's via the pharmacy?
Well, yeah, because on the vendors, this mirondo, these white loads called mirondo,
yes,
I see they are all over the country. The vendors are moving them freely. So that means that they are using them at a higher rate, because we see them moving in the streets of Kampala. Yeah, I think these ones are being used.
But on the herbal side, when somebody presents me a herbal and one tablet, I think it's very easy for me to go for the tab, because it's very easy. You just swallow it in 1 minute. But the other one requires you to actually drink. It requires you to take time, and maybe some people are afraid. What if my friend finds me drinking this? It will cause. So I believe most people incline more on the tabs because it's fast and simple.
Maybe on that same thing of
quickly
of this is that the demographics change.
Yes.
The truth is that the setting in Central is different from the setting in the West, different from the setting in the East, different from the setting in the North.
Here we are for pharmacy.
In the Central, the truth is that most of it, actually the society we're in right now is more of a literate society. We are in a literate society right now, but there's Kampala beyond Makerere. That is where now these other become dominant because they are cheap. That's the truth.
Okay.
And they are easy and
Let us unfortunately have to conclude this very interesting discussion that I have had with Ricky and Mondera and Ebenezer on the increased use of sexual enhancement substances in universities. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Gen Z Agenda, and we shall continue to bring you other concerns that face our youth with different voices across the spectrum to add their weight to the conversations. Thank you.
For the last 2 years, Uganda has been averaging over 5,000 people losing their lives in road accidents. If you are to quantify this, 15 Ugandans die due to road accidents each and every day. This is a very big number. Recently, we've had also a spate of accidents that have been involving minors, children. The last was in Kapchora, where we had over 20 students lose their life in that regard. This week on the Gen Z agenda, it's rather a third episode where we look at how we can reduce the problem of road accidents in the country. It comes at a time when in the last 2 years as well, over 400 children have been affected in road accidents. What is driving this? What could be done? What is the permanent solution for a problem that continues to ravage Uganda? My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. Thank you so much for joining us on the Gen Z agenda. Every week we have young people, but also Ugandans in general, talking about the reality on ground, painting a picture on how Uganda can be a better place. We don't have these conversations to ridicule, but we want to foster solutions that are going to build an equitable Uganda for today, but also for the next generation to come. And this week, I'm privileged to be joined by gallant Ugandans. I'll start with Afande Michael Kananura. Many of you know him from the police department. He is the spokesperson of Uganda Traffic Police. Afande, many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much, Matthew, and for hosting us. I'm glad to be here and to speak to the viewers out there. I'm Superintendent of Police Kananura Michael. I don't actually only speak for traffic, but I also do play a vital role in the directorate of bridging the gap between the members of the community, call them road users, and the traffic police.
So
I'm a
officer.
I'm a liaison officer
Exactly.
for the directorate.
Thank you so much. And I want to also commend you for always speaking up our calls. You're one of those spokespersons of government entities that really pick up their calls and honor our invitation. So thank you so much, sir. This is Cynthia Apiniesta. She is a student from Makerere University. They call it the gallant Makerere. I don't know how gallant it is these days. But she's doing political science, and she's an avid viewer and also a commentator on Uganda's politics. Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to speak on matters affecting our nation. It's going to be a very interesting conversation considering how proximate it is to the people. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Last, definitely not least, is Honorable Paul Emmanuel. He is an independent and he is a representative of Bukora County, that is in Park District. Many thanks for joining us, Honorable Emma.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me. I'm Paul Emmanuel, Member of Parliament of Bukora County.
Okay.
I'm a civil engineer by profession. And I also serve in the Committee of Physical Infrastructure,
Yes.
Parliament.
I can also add that you're an engineer by profession, and that's the docket that Honorable comes to serve Ugandans with. This is a full panel, but you can also join the conversation through our social media platforms at NBS TV, at Next Media, but also personally at Edgar Matthew Karuhanga, that is on Twitter. I'm going to start with you, Afande Kananura.
Yes, Matthew.
We, in the recent past, we are seeing a couple of accidents. They've been there, but now they are starting to take shape. Some are taking our children, and the carnage on the road is increasing. Very, very sad. Do you want to paint a picture for us on the Ugandan who's out there, on the reality today as the Uganda police? How is the road carnage? What can you say about the traffic in the country as we speak today? Let's start from there.
Thank you once again. The road safety situation in our country,
Yes, sir.
as of now, it is true that we are registering these crashes daily. And looking at the statistics of last year, 2025, according to our annual crime report,
Yes, sir.
we saw that Uganda lost 5,383.
Yes.
Of course, that is not a small number and not just numbers, but these are human beings. These are, go beyond to look at the dependents of these people that died. And now that puts it to an average of 15 people per day. 15 people per day. 15 people is not a small number as well. That's a huge number, 1 to 3 up to 15.
Every day.
That means a normal bus full of what we call the taxis, full of passengers page every day. And for the past 10 years, these crashes have increased to the tune of 88.8%. They have come increasing. Well, that is if we lost in 2014,
Yes.
like 2,000 people. So they have come all along increasing. But the other thing that maybe I also wish to inform people is that for the past 3 years, yes, it is increasing, but at a reducing rate.
Okay.
I don't know whether you understand.
Yes, I understand what you're
It
saying.
has been increasing,
Yes.
but then this increment is reducing.
Yes.
So meaning if probably we continue with the efforts and so many other things that we want to discuss here, put into practice, we are going to see probably we get to a point where we have these crashes not increasing but static. But then at some point as we continue the efforts, it drops.
I find what's behind the statistics we are reading?
Yes, it is what I was coming to, because all that is within the picture of road safety in our country. And looking at this, we also saw that the majority of those who are affected are vulnerable road users. Vulnerable road users, they are riders, passengers on those vehicles, and then pedestrians. These alone form more than 85% of the total fatalities. The fatalities that we looked at, these were the majority, the vulnerable road users. But then, what is causing all this? What is causing this surprisingly, Edgar, is that it's human error. It's human error, and we looked at speeding coupled with careless overtaking. These two alone contributed to close to 50% of the total other causes of these crashes. So meaning that if we are speeding and then careless overtaking is dealt with, then we are likely to reduce these crashes by 50%. Okay. So what causes the people have looked at those that died mostly, more than 50%, close to 50% died due to careless overtaking and then speeding. Of course, in most cases, whoever successfully overtakes carelessly has violated speed.
Okay.
So that's why we come to say that speeding has been number one killer on our roads.
Okay.
And this is also important to mention that the mostly affected areas, Kampala. You can't believe this. It is the Kampala itself, Kampala Metropolitan, that contributed to most of these fatalities in our country.
Afande, I'm going to bring you back. This is Afande Kananura Michael. He is the spokesperson and liaison officer at the Uganda Traffic Police. Cynthia, on the same issue, in your perspective as an innocent Ugandan who is on ground, who uses the roads, where do you think is the biggest challenge?
I would like to agree with Afande over here about the issue of overspeeding. And as a Gen Z, if you pay attention to the social media memes and how people use roads, we are fast to glorify and create memes about borders and how funnily they ride on roads, which is also a very big problem that we have, or a very big challenge that we face. For instance, if you're moving by border, they are overspeeding on a highway and there are cars as well driving really, really fast. This is your life at risk and his life at risk as well. I think we do have a really big problem, and how we hold these people accountable is also questionable, because it's easy for us to create memes, laugh about it, but at the end of the day, it's people's lives that are being lost at the expense of these memes that we are creating. I think it's important that as citizens, we take the initiative as well. If you're using a border, are you able to tell them, please slow down so that they're not overspeeding? Because there are those accidents in passing that never get to be talked about because they are not as fatal or brutal, or they don't have mass casualties, but it is you that is being affected. You're breaking a leg, you're breaking a hand, you're scratching your skin on the tarmac. So I think that is an important thing. But then we also need to look at the aspect of the roads in construction around the country. If you move via Mukono, the Mukono Highway, it is still under construction when you go to Busega. And these are roads that have been in construction for a while now. What that creates is narrowing, because they're diverting routes, this and this, and there's a lot of congestion. If you look at the business hours within Kampala when people are leaving work, someone is speeding to go pick a child, someone is speeding to buy food and take it home as fast as they possibly can. The congestion within the roads also affects how traffic moves and affects the speed at which people are moving, because you're trying to get home fast, the road is narrow. If roads are taking that long to be constructed, they are too narrow to accommodate many people on the road, it becomes a bit frustrating. And then the guidelines of using roads over roads. Are you having a helmet? Is your passenger having a helmet? I think these are things that we've overlooked. We see them as minor. They are not important in our day-to-day lives to discuss.
You hear assertions that this helmet makes me have a headache. I cannot see very well as I'm riding with a helmet. I've had such assertions that you're talking about.
I think it is imperative on the traffic police themselves as well to conduct, but I think these are things that happen within driving school or when you're going to get a license, for instance, to work on the road. These are conversations that need to be had because it can be true. It can be called an assertion, but someone genuinely finds a helmet heavy. There are regulations that stipulate what type of equipment is being used specifically within the country.
Cynthia, you've talked about the roads and how they are constructed, but when you look at the heart behind our system, do you think there has been an intentionality in creating roads or creating avenues where Ugandans are safe? Do you think as a system, you as a political commentator, when you look at our government and its priorities, do you think their heart is in the road safety, genuinely?
No, absolutely not. It took an entire exhibition on Twitter for us to remember that our roads have potholes. It took a public outcry and people's deaths for us to remember that, oh, there are roads still under construction that have not yet been completed. Essentially, this should not be things that we call you out on. This should be a responsibility that you have at the back of your mind, because this is the muscle of the economic system of a country. If roads are bad, I am not transporting my goods for sale.
Exactly.
I am probably going to die. An accident is going to make my goods perish. If roads are bad, I can't go to the farm and move food. If roads are bad, I can't go to my 9 to 5 so that I can afford to pay the exaggerated taxes that you are charging me. So I don't think that the system itself, it's just now recently that we've seen governments try to, move their muscle around corruption and the ghost contracts for roads. Why has it taken public outcry and death for you to remember your responsibility?
Okay.
Because when it comes to condemning us for the things we are not doing right, you're fast at that.
You've entered now politics. Let's get back to let me bring in Honorable Emmanuel. Honorable, for the reality on ground, he has painted a picture, or she has painted a picture of the roads that we're using, the infrastructure itself. Afande is saying it's mostly overspeeding and our overtaking as the individuals who are driving. In your assessment, they may be right, but what do you think is behind something that we may not be seeing that is driving these road accidents?
Thank you. To me, it is a collection of both. Because the issue of road accidents right now in the country is alarming. Losing 15 people per day is big to road accidents. We have a lot to do as a country. As individuals, and as the forces, like the police forces. When I look at the engineering aspect of our roads, there are departments or maybe entities in government that handle the issue of roads, like Ministry of Works, KCCA. I want to say that our roads are still not to standard to serve every road user. And that's the first cause of all this. Because when you look at our road, the carriage ways, most of them are about 3.5 meters, a single lane, which is not substantial enough to allow even overtaking. So, and most of our lanes are about 2 lanes, just the going on and the coming lane. So there is no way you can easily overtake easily. So my suggestions were, at the end of the day, we should look at Ministry of Works to help us increase the width of these roads. And then when you look at the shoulders in most of our roads, they're about 1.5 meters. I want to point a case of this accident in Kapshara of the kids of King's David Jr. You find that the truck was parked on the roadway. And that truck width is about 1.8 meter. 1.8 meter. And the road shoulder is 1.5. So when the truck is parked there, when that truck was parked there, you find it overlaps on the length itself.
I get you.
See that? So when these shoulders of the road increased, say to 2 meters, it can be able to accommodate bigger truck.
But Honorable, those are very good ideas, but those one would say that's the ideal, that's the long shot. That's the long shot. I can imagine when that would happen, especially in a system, if they can take more than 10 years constructing one road, and let's be honest here, how long is it going to take them to widen these roads?
It is hard to talk about them.
Starts.
It is hard to put the pressure so that they can pick it from us. If we keep quiet and say how long, I'm a member of parliament in the committee I serve in is fiscal infrastructure.
Exactly.
So these are suggestions we can bring to the committee, in the committee and give to Ministry of Works. That as you can see now, our roads are more narrow. So we need.
Are you having these conversations? Just tell us the reality right now. You've started, the committees have started operating. What is happening in the committees there?
In the committees, we are pushing the pedal harder to make sure that these ministries are accountable. As our president has said, this is Kisanja no more sleep. And so we are the soldiers to make sure that this is achieved. And so that's what we're trying to do.
All right.
So as I was explaining that our road width are less. I find they can bear me witness. Most of our roads don't have overtaking lanes. And so that's why sometimes we get accidents on trying to overtake. A case in point, look at the Mabila Highway.
Yes.
It's a dark place. We don't have proper lighting. We don't have most of the overtaking lanes. The drainage there is not set.
Yeah.
So at any time,
It's even narrow. Yeah.
so narrow.
Exactly.
So you find that sometimes it becomes hard for a driver to overtake.
I'm going to come back, Honorable Emmanuel. Let me first come back to Afande. Afande, as you've said, overspeeding. For me, I want to put it on you as the traffic police. Are you sleeping on the job? You have the power to stop these people who are overspeeding. You have the resources. You even have the manpower. What is it that you are not doing right, sir?
Thank you once again. Now, it's true I've talked about speeding, and I've had my other colleagues also talk of a number of things. When I were talking about the roads, it's good you brought it up. You are like, because now the situation we are in, can look at the immediate things that can be done, and other than long term, because now the expanding of the roads. You know, some people are also encouraged on the road reserves.
Yes.
By the time you tell them to go away, they want compensation, all sorts of manner of things. But what is it that's immediate that we have to do? You have asked a good question about the speeding. Yes, we know it is speeding. We know it is the careless overtaking. Then you are asking, for you now that you know, why are you there sleeping and not? I wouldn't want Edgar to speak as if we are out of Uganda. Let us face things in reality.
Yes.
What do I mean? You know that you can get to the highway, drive for 20 kilometers when you have not met any enforcer. That one you know. And you know that we don't still yet now have the cameras that will capture someone who's doing that. Electronic enforcement is not yet here in our country.
I was even going to ask you why, but first continue, Afande.
So, enforcement, I've already said this. You don't expect enforcement to be everywhere. And where do we normally get challenges? That because people get to know that there is no traffic here, it's where they do all sorts of manner of things. We have traveled on these roads, and we have met drivers trying even to ask others, where are they? And then ignore them, tell them, they know their signs there. They tell you that in the next 2 kilometers, you'll meet them somewhere. And then at the garage, when you'll see the driver putting on a seatbelt as he approaches Kananura, and is the most disciplined. He reduces speed, he reaches, even lowers the glass, even waves at you. You may think this man is a brother of Jesus. But let him bypass, and he knows there's no traffic here. You'll start flying again. In the night, yes, I'm not saying that we are not supposed to deploy, but of course we can't also risk the lives of officers. In the night where we have roads that don't have enough light, it means that they cannot be knocked. So most of these crashes, you realize we have registered them in the night, at 3, at 2. So there are so many things. So when these people know that there's no traffic, they even those people who will park and say, I'm waiting to ensure that traffic is out of the road. Maybe it is in the night, that's when I will move. Some of them call it inconveniencing. which is not inconveniencing, it is saving your life. So, such a programs, and what we need to do immediately, let us all speak. If my friend here, Honorable, speaks, probably his voters will listen to him, then they will listen to me. If he tells them and says, please, my voters, I love you, and I say, I want you guys to be my voters, I want you to leave, please make sure before you sit on your motorcycle, acquire a crash helmet. When you are coming to Kampala, please observe the speed limits. They will listen to him, other than now me, because we have talked, and I will continue talking. So what am I trying to say? I call on board everyone, even the pastors. If a pastor goes to a church and says, okay, thank you for coming to church, but then next time you are to come, make sure you have helmets. Make sure you don't violate. You get my point?
Yes, sir.
When he speaks, when everyone speaks, so now really, I want to tell you, we must handle the mindset of these road users to promote the behavioral change. This must change. The days of getting to the road and you're like, if I've not met Kanura, if I've not met traffic police, let me do my own things. But when I know they are here, now they're most humble. But then we get these crashes in areas where we don't have the deployment. There was a time, some festive season, where we tried our best really to minimize during that festive. But you know what hit us? What hit us? They were motorcycles riding deep in the villages, and they are carrying 5 people. They are carrying the entire family, father, mother, child, daughter, all that on one motorcycle. So because traffic, you have moved to the rural areas, you will not find traffic.
Yes.
So this is a man who is drunk, he puts the whole family on a motorcycle, he's on a Maram road, he's just cruising. You hear, he's down, reporting just about 2 crashes involving motorcycles, then you hear 10 people have died. So that's what hit us. But the highways,
you had managed them.
Yeah, we had done our best.
Okay, I find that there's always a scenario when we meet you, the traffic officers, and oftentimes you will always agree with the person, and that's where the element of money comes in, what we may call corruption. In your docket as the traffic, how are you dealing with this? Because I know it's a long shot, but it's a factor that is on ground here, that when he stops me, sometimes I know what he expects. Even when I have everything, there should be an expectation of kitu kidogo. That's the word they use. How are you managing kitu kidogo?
Now, let me tell you this, and to those who are viewing us. Traffic police, we have a full-fledged unit that handles such. It is called Alert Squad. Headed by even a leader and staff lady. Now, we even have court, by the way, at our premises, headquarters in Atete, that tries these officers who misbehave in the road. We try them, they are punished, some are even invited out of traffic, and others are punished accordingly in our disciplinary courts. But Edgar, let me tell you, if we don't get this information, then we don't act. All we need are people to come and give us this information. They don't need it to come. We have these days a lot of things really that can help us record. Everyone, I'm sure, has a smartphone these days. It costs you nothing, for example, to record some of these things and then bring them to us. Even if I don't need to come physically and you post it anywhere, I want to tell you, some of those tendencies that we have seen on social media, we have got those that evidence, because what we take is that evidence and penalize these officers. But where we are finding challenges, and before you also go far, is that when we talk of corruption, people forget that the one who gives, it is also part of corruption. That is bribery. So for them now, they tend to show the world that they are good by giving, and then they are condemning the police officers
who's receiving.
Yet to me, I see that the giver is the cause of everything. Why should we give in the first instance? Yes, that is our point. Why should we give in the first instance? Why should we give? So that's me, my question. So we have to know that we are all not good. Okay? The giver is bad, the receiver is equally bad. Now, this person who's giving, thinking for him now is running off from the punishment, it becomes hard enough for him to come to us and report. And that is why, Edgar, they only wait for us to get to the audience. They start calling and say, we are tired of your corruption. I've never seen anyone, may have very many people, those even who take my number to call just in the case. Nobody will call you to say, I'm here with traffic officer is about to take my money, what do I do? No. They only call and say, they took my money. I say, why did you call for giving up the money? And I tell you what to do.
Yes, Afande.
So this is something that we cannot fight alone.
Yes.
No. Because even the course I told you about,
Either side.
who is to go to implicate these officers? It is the person whose money was taken.
Okay.
I want to, let me tell you, because you asked me. I want to tell you that to some people that we have even got this evidence on social media and followed it up, you call them, you are even on your knees, please come and tell us how did it happen. And then also others, in the name of making content on this social media, because they know when they put anything touching a traffic officer or a police officer, people will like, people will comment, people, all sorts of manner of things.
Yes, sir.
And then when you say, please Edgar, help me, come here, I've seen your video, it is very good, your officer took you as a vendor, that is bad, please come and tell us how it happened. Because we need that evidence, we need that statement to follow it up to penalize our officer. Do they even come?
I also don't know. Let's take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. But we also want to look at specifically the pattern of the schools, the children who are getting accidents. What is that we are not seeing that is happening in the country? That and much more after a short commercial break. You're watching the Gen Z Agenda. This is NBS TV. Welcome back from that short commercial break. This is the Gen Z Agenda, Uganda's youth-led political show, where we're going to have conversations about some of the current affairs that are happening in the country. As we're taking a break, Honorable, there is something that you wanted to chip in as we begin.
Thank you, Mike. I want to differ a bit from Afande Canada. Uganda has strong traffic laws, but the problem we have a lot is on implementation of these laws. The enforcement is too weak from the side of police. There is too much corruption on the traffic. Most times, as he has explained, there is this bit where policeman suggests you give me something.
Yeah.
It's not the driver that suggests. Once you know somebody has broken the law, penalize them. Why must you want another way to let him go? Because once you let him go, that means you're seeing a driver, you've let a driver that's dangerous to its passengers. At the end of the day, most of the lives that we're losing in this Uganda are in the hands of the traffic police. All this blood is in their hands. Because at the end of the day, if they strengthen the express penalty system, that means most of these drivers will know that it is hard to continue paying a lot in the penalties, and they will find a way.
When they brought that penalty system, electronic, you, the legislators, not you, the person, but the legislators came and started to decry that. They started saying, what you are levying on our people is too much. and they had to even block it. So the question is, what do we want as a people?
I won't say in record, I've never gotten in record where the legislators, decried that. We encourage it a lot more. To add on that, the law, mostly, we wanted the police really to do their job. There are some of these dangerous drivers that, because they know that this so-and-so, or maybe local man is a driver that drives every weekend to Karamoja, to Napak. So every time he comes here, he's driving at high speed. So at the end of the day, I should be given a penalty, or maybe my permit should be withdrawn away from me.
Thank you so much.
And so that is why the police should come in.
That's the ideal. By the way, on ground, Afande, this is to inform.
They are actually not helping us to enforce the laws.
You may have an issue and you try your level best not to pay, but the police person will try everything possible to make sure that you give them something. In actual sense, they don't want to give you a ticket.
They don't want.
They want to frustrate you enough so that you can bring something. But Cynthia,
if I can really respond to what you are saying, and I think such shows are there to really to assist in that, because for so many people who did not know where to report some of these things, Edgar, we have given really forums where these things can be reported. For us, we cannot dream of what you people are going through. And let me tell you, you will hear about us. To the few people who have come to us, we have really gone ahead to take action. Because I'm not saying that every traffic officer is good. There are those who are, of course, not good, just like any other human being.
Yes.
But then, why are you squeezed down there and then you keep quiet? Because for us, we expected these officers to enforce by giving these tickets.
Okay.
But they can also warn, by the way. and not now to hear that money has exchanged. What exchanged that? If money has exchanged hands, then who to report? Not to keep silent, and then you go all of a sudden we see it on social media. Let it come to us. Our numbers are there that we have always given. Our officers are there. The officer is there in charge of that office. They will actually, I don't pray for you to get any issue to come, but the time you come to us, or even honorable, you will appreciate. And then we are here to understand some of these things, and then we pass on the information to other people who may not be having this information.
Let me bring in
and everyone is helped.
Cynthia, are they doing enough? You are on ground. In your assessment, what we call an innocent pedestrian, an innocent Ugandan, do you think they're doing enough?
No. And I think it's easy for us to sit down and argue about where to report corruption cases and forget the nature of the relationship between the police and people. Because regardless of how much we want to run away from the political conversation, it's unfortunate that the police has constantly been weaponized against people. But also, systems are very interconnected for them to function. Because if you're telling a boda rider that on average makes about 50,000 from transporting people left and right, and you've caught him because he doesn't have a helmet, right? He has an option to give you 5,000 to buy a bottle of water, or the option to take a ticket and go through a court process that he might not even know how it operates, but also might not serve him the justice that he wants. We've seen how the judicial system currently operates. This person is left with no option but to hand you the 5,000. Of course, they are not going to come and report because they know they are complicit of the crime. However, what are the circumstances that lead them to be in that situation? So you can't be an enforcer if the systems that are meant to create that enforcement are also shaky. And that's a problem. So we need to acknowledge the fact that we have a very bad relationship with the police. Ugandans don't view the police in the sense of, I am here to help you, I am here to guide you. They view the police as the enemy. So if you're constantly an enemy, I'm not going to face you in a...
But isn't that everywhere?
No, it is not everywhere.
To Uganda.
It is not everywhere.
Everywhere, many people don't like to deal with the police. It always comes as the last resort.
It is not everywhere.
It's a general problem.
Because let's take a simple case study. If you are robbed, your instinct, is it to call the police or to discuss with neighbors?
No,
if a person in America, just even by screaming and a lot of noise on their block, what is the first instinct? Call who? 911. Exactly. So you can't generalize and say this is a...
like that 911.
And that is explained because there is context to it. If a police system is systematically built to racially segregate you, again, if a system is weaponized, you don't approach it with love, you don't approach it with relationship, you approach it as a defense tactic. You get, you're constantly on the offense to this system because you don't think it is built to protect you. So you don't expect a perfect relationship, or me coming to say, Afande Kananura, ABCD happened to me and I was pushed to pay this amount of money, if I know, or if I even have the impression that this system is built to work against myself. Because that is what the dynamics of it look like. So we can't sit and finger point and say, even you that is paying the money is a problem. What is the context that is creating that environment where I have to pull money to pay? Why is a police officer as well acknowledging that this is something I can coerce you to do? But again, why do we need to report these things in the very beginning? If we are creating an ideal, perfect system, these things should not exist at all.
Okay, but we brought the modern system, as I told you, Honorable. You realize the backlash that came with that. So the question is, do we really want the implementation, or we just enjoy the idea?
Okay, so I think the Honorable was pretty analytical in the conversation about the nature of roads. So you're implementing a system without convenience for the system to operate. Because if you're saying, I am going to charge you for speeding, I am going to charge you for overtaking, but your roads do not accommodate for me to use them the way they should be used, why are you charging me? It goes both ways. Responsibility is not a one-side thing. If I am charging you for something, are you doing what is necessary for me to do